Hey guys, what's up? I figured I hadn't recorded in a couple days, so I thought I'll just get around to it. So, okay, I'll be real with you guys. Again, another thing is that I've been satisfied here. I've been like able to trust the doctors, etc. But I don't know, maybe like whenever you guys come, it might be a different doctor. The Sunday doctor is not so great. I think personally, I don't blame him. I think it's because he's a junior physician and he can't call the shots. So whenever you ask him anything, he kind of just goes like, oh, I've got to check with the other doctor. Like, oh, whatever the other doctor said. Oh, yeah, sure. So you don't really feel listened to. But again, I don't blame him. I think it's just the fact that he doesn't really have the authority to make decisions, like big decisions. So that's something else to keep in mind. So if you are checking in on a Sunday, or if you're trying to see someone and you're thinking, all right, I'll just do it tomorrow, make sure it's not a Sunday, or make sure that like you follow up with someone else. Yes, talk to him, but talk to someone else as well. Yeah, another thing about my treatment. So my treatment time changed. So I'm still doing the healing massage, and I realized, I might have mentioned before, that it was rice, but then I've noticed her change the cloth around yesterday, and it was leaves. So I think it's like herbal leaves. My friend Joe was saying that for him it's like rice and milk. For me it's leaves. But yeah, so what else? So I still have that massage, and during that time, like, the nurse noticed like a swelling in my leg that I'm trying to let the doctor know about. So hopefully when he does his rounds today, I will let him know. And another thing is that they started, so about 7 days into my treatment, they started this thing called Vasti. So I think a Vasti is pretty much an enema, and they give 2 types of enemas. So I've noticed over here that everyone seems to be getting like one on one day and one on the other, and it's alternating. Yeah, so like for example, they get the oil enema, which I think is meant to lubricate your bowels and like kind of loosen things up, and then the next day you get this thing called a kashayam enema, which I think is herbal stuff that they put like in a syringe up your butt, and you're on a specific diet for that day. They give you like milk and biscuits in the morning, and then after that you have like 2 lunches, etc., and it just makes you sit at the toilet. So that's one more treatment. I'll chuck in a picture of like the syringe. I think I took a video of it, so I might just chuck that in here so that you guys can see that. So from what I've heard, like, one, my body's too weak to do panchakarma, so I can't do it. So another thing is that I went for a yoga session here the other day. My initial intention was to do yoga every day, but for some reason, like, it just wasn't lining up. Like, treatment times was overlapping with the yoga class, and then the yoga master wouldn't be here some days, and it just didn't make any, like, it just wasn't lining up. And then finally there was a day where it lined up. I did really enjoy it. It was a generous class of like 1 hour 45 minutes. I think it was meant to be 1 hour 30, but then he kept going. So it was a very generous class, very beneficial, but he is going on leave. Also, the yoga was in the library, so it was a bit like dusty, and the library wasn't really a big library. I was hoping that we'd do it outdoors or something. The reason I was a little bit hesitant to be pushy about yoga is because after coming here, I've been in intense pain as well. So even though, like, when I tell people, oh, it's an oil massage, they think it's really relaxing. But then having a conversation with the people over here, we had a chat about how, like, it's so taxing to your body, and it just feels like it's just really draining, and you're in a lot of pain throughout the day, even though the massage itself is not painful. So apparently that pain is very normal, but it also requires a lot of rest. So apparently this Ayurvedic rule of thumb is that if you take 14 days of treatment, you need 14 days of recovery, and to stick to that lifestyle for months to feel the effects of it. And I'm happy to do that because Western medicine gave me no hope at all. Apparently the rest part is extremely important, which is amazing to be prescribed rest. And it's very stressed upon because like I've mentioned to you guys before, just the walk to the market the other day, barely 1.5 kilometers, and I was feeling so out of it. So when I went for the yoga session, we did a lot of breathing exercise, and that's when I realized that I actually don't breathe through my nose as much. Like, it's very constricting breathing just through my nose. So I actually use my mouth to breathe a lot. So I was letting the doctor know that, and he has also prescribed this thing called Nasti, I think, which is something that apparently goes and clears your nose. I'm not sure how it works just yet. I will let you guys know once that treatment starts for me. Those are the two additions to my treatment. So what I've noticed over here is I usually start most patients off on 1 treatment or 2 treatments, and then it changes after 7 days. Like I mentioned to you guys before, I got my period the other day, and it's been very, very, very annoying. For me, my period, well, I've had my period since I was like 13 or 14, and I've never experienced any pain. So I'm just one of those people that you hate, because I never experienced the pain. And for the past year, I think I've been experiencing really, 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 really bad pain. So it would it's pretty much like, you remember those girls from middle school who would take the day off school because they were in so much pain, and I never understood it. Well, now I understand it, because I'm like, fuck, it hurts. Having said that, yeah, so like, I did read somewhere that like your period changing like intensity in terms of like how much it hurts is of concern. So it is something you do mention to your doctor, and then they confirm if it's an age thing or if it's something to do with your body messing up. So I did mention that to my doctor as well, and he made some additions to my medication, my internal medications, and then he changed some things around. Unfortunately, while you're on your period, you're not on treatment. I barely bled on the first day, barely bled on the second day, barely bled on the third day. On the third day, I was pretty much clean. So I told the doctor that I was ready for my treatment, went into treatment, and it was very unfortunate. They were halfway through the oil massage when they realized that I was bleeding very, very slightly. But unfortunately, for that reason, they had to stop the treatment, which is it's a bit nerve-wracking for me. I have been starting to stress out just a little bit, because I did this very unnecessary thing of bringing my return ticket day forward. So I found out that there was no charge to bring forward my return ticket, so I have brought it forward, and now I'm nervous because my period is not stopping. But fingers crossed today is the last day, or like maybe even today I'll be ready. I guess another thing I wanted to mention to you guys is that we've formed a really, really tight-knit community over here. So think about it. You're having breakfast, lunch, tea time, dinner, and also every time you walk out of your room, you're probably seeing these same people over and over again. I won't lie, we have formed a little bit of like a clique, and we all sit together for dinner and breakfast and lunch and all of that. But it's not like, hey, like it's not like high school, like, hey, where are you? I'm not gonna have lunch without you. But it's more like, I don't know, it's really, really nice. And I'm sure some of you guys would know this, but it's surprising how close you can get to some people in such a short period of time, just by spending so much time with them. So I guess that's the part, this is the cue for me to mention my friend Joe. He's introduced a new gaming session. So usually Mum and I go to his room. We used to go, the first time we went was after dinner, but we were really, really tired. So we moved our game time to 5 p.m. So at 5 p.m. Joe, at 4:50, Joe comes out of his room. He's on the second floor, and we're on the first floor. So he comes out of his room and he keeps looking at us, looking at our door, going are we gonna play? And it's a really, really fun game. I don't know how to say it, but I think it's Rumikub or Rumikub. And we spend so much time on it. We have so much fun with it. And Joe is honestly, such an inspirational person. Yeah, the people, I can't describe how much fun it is, just seeing these people all the time and socializing and all this sort of thing, because people are coming from all over the world. And it's also really sad when they leave. So Joe was saying this is his 4th time here, and he was saying it's because he usually comes for 28 days. His treatment usually lasts 28 days. And every time he comes, he forms a really, really close bond with everyone, but then everyone starts leaving one by one, and he's always the last one here, which is so sweet, but so sad as well. And we also will be leaving before Joe. A couple of the other people that we've met here have been complaining about not being able to sleep because they feel so energetic. Mum and I have had no problem with that. As I've mentioned before, I have chronic fatigue syndrome, which I think is a very unfair, lazy way of describing what I was feeling, but so I've got no issue falling asleep and waking up a whole 9 hours later. The only difference is that when I wake up, I actually feel quite refreshed, and I haven't had that in like so long. I feel a lot more energetic. I feel like nothing feels like tense and like it's, I don't know, like it just doesn't feel like draining and like I'm just being dragged to the floor sort of thing anymore. I do feel much more energetic, but obviously I know that this isn't like, I came into this treatment knowing that it's not going to be like an overnight fix. Hello. But you know, like some things have definitely improved, and I can attest to that. For example, so not only the fatigue, there are times in the day where I do feel like, you know, something's dragging me down, but it usually lasts a few hours as opposed to the whole bloody day. So that's one thing. I have been, what else? I've always had this, so I've not always, for the past couple of years, ever since this condition happened to me, I've been having this issue of like always burping. And it's not just like your standard like finish eating you burp sort of thing. It's more like when I go to bed, I feel like there's like this lump that sort of travels through, and it either sits at my chest or it sits at my throat. And if I don't sit up to burp, it feels like I can't breathe. So I usually sit up to burp, and then I go back to sleep, and then it happens again and it happens again. So it usually happens a few times in the night. So usually when I go to sleep, I allocate like a certain amount of time that I know I wouldn't be falling asleep for, no matter how tired I am, because I have to keep burping and I have to keep sitting up to burp. So it's not significantly reduced, but it definitely has reduced. I also tried like not eating at all, or eating like 3 hours before bed, 4 hours before bed. You know, like I did a lot of changes. So it's not, I just can't seem to find what food is making my tummy upset. They have treatment times at the same time every day, but then as people move out, or I guess, yeah, like they change it every now and then they call and let you know. I think this place is pretty cool in that they keep you informed. So one of the guys who sits with us was telling us that when he, one time he forgot to come down for dinner, and when it was like 45 minutes, when it was like 45 minutes, like after dinner time, they actually called him and asked him why he was not at dinner. So I think it's pretty cool. Like they do keep tabs on you. They are aware. Another thing I would say is that you have to be aware of like the different culture over here. So for example, there's no patient doctor confidentiality. Everyone seems to know what's up with everyone. And like things like your weight, or like what your problem is, or like what your complaints are, everyone knows. And this place is really well connected. So I'm sure, like if I make a complaint to a nurse, the doctor knows, and even the guy at the canteen would probably know it. Like it's very well connected. There've been times when we've been given like something, we've been told, oh, like, yeah, you'll have to eat this one specific thing. And then 2 minutes later, the guy from the canteen calls us and tells us the same thing. So it is very well connected, but don't expect patient-doctor confidentiality. I mean, I guess if you explicitly say it, you might get it, but it's just a different culture, and I guess you just have to accept that. Yeah, that's that. So, guess I'll catch you guys later.